Hi guys, it's Melrose. Before we get into today's video, I just wanted to say that I wrote a script for this one. Normally I don't script my videos or anything, but this is a topic that's really personal to me. I know if I try to talk about it off the top of my head, I'd probably forget things or struggle to explain exactly how I feel. Writing everything down let me organize my thoughts and say everything I wanted to say the way I actually meant it. So with that out of the way, a few days ago, I watched SpookyLoopz' video, The Concerning World of Killer Anxiety. The entire time I was watching it, I kept thinking, he's describing exactly what I go through. If you've watched my streams, you've probably seen it happen without even realizing it. I'll tell chat that I owe them killer games. I genuinely plan on playing killer. Then I'll say, let's do one more survivor game first. One game turns into three turns into 6. Sometimes the stream ends and I never queue for killer at all. From the outside, it probably just looks like I changed my mind, but the reality is I didn't. I wanted to play killer the entire time. The problem is that every time I get close to clicking that ready button or switching to killer, I start talking myself out of it. What if I get destroyed? What if I have an awful game? What if I let chat down? What if this just isn't the night to play killer? By the time I finish asking myself those questions, I've already convinced myself to wait just one more game. I don't hate playing killer. In fact, I wish I enjoyed it more than I do. Because when I have a good killer game, DBD is some of the most fun I can have. But the anxiety I feel before I even load into a match gets in the way of that far too often. Watching SpookyLoopz' video made me realize I'm not the only one who feels this way. So instead of talking about killer anxiety as a concept, I want to talk about what it's actually like living with it. This is my experience. Chapter 1, The Lobby. I think for me, killer anxiety doesn't start when the match begins. It starts before I even click ready. Honestly, sometimes it starts even before I choose a killer. That's one of the hardest parts for me. I don't really know who I want to play. I love Spirit. I genuinely love her gameplay. Everything about her clicks with me. But because she's considered one of the strongest killers in the game, I feel this weird pressure whenever I pick her. If I have a bad game on Spirit, my brain immediately goes, "You're playing one of the best killers in the game. How did you mess that up?" So instead of thinking that was just one bad match, I think maybe I just shouldn't play Spirit today. And then I switch. The problem is, I don't have many killers that I'm actually comfortable on. My chat has gotten me to branch out over the years, and I'm really grateful for that. They encourage me to try someone I've never really played before. Usually the first game goes okay. I don't know if it's because my MMR is low on those killers or what, but the survivors aren't usually the best, and I've played against pretty good survivors before. The problem is, one game isn't enough for me to become comfortable, and I honestly don't even usually play them again after that. The anxiety is still there. I'll give you the perfect example. A couple years ago, chat wanted me to play Pig. 3 games. That's all it took. For 3 games straight, I couldn't even get a single down. The first 2 lobbies flamed me after the match. By the 3rd game, I broke. I remember sitting there thinking, I can't do this. I didn't touch Pig again for years. Literally years. The only reason I finally played her again was because she landed on my punishment wheel. And even now, I'm actually a decent Pig player compared to back then. But every time I lock her in, I still feel that same anxiety. Then comes perks. People are always trying to help me. They'll say, run this build, it's insane. This is easy mode. And I appreciate it. I really do. But then another thought creeps into my head. What if it doesn't work for me? What if I let them down? I remember someone giving me a Nemesis build and telling me it was basically free wins. Instead, I couldn't even get a kill. And somehow, I felt like I had failed them instead of just having a bad game. Another thing that makes me anxious is when the lobby loads. That's when my anxiety spikes even more. 3 flashlights? Immediately my brain starts thinking they're going to bully me. Most of the time, I just back out. If I see a full lobby of TTVs, same thing. I've had enough experiences where I go into stream afterwards only to hear people making fun of me because I had a rough match. So now, whenever I see multiple TTVs, I instantly expect the worst. Funny thing is, I'm also a TTV survivor main. I know what it's like to be on the other side. When I play Survivor, I hate watching people teabag killers at the exit gate. Unless the killer spent the entire match trying to make everyone miserable, I always try to be respectful. Because I know what it feels like. And despite all of that, the hardest part still hasn't happened. The match hasn't even started. I'm still sitting in the lobby. Every part of me wants to click leave. every part of me wants to say, never mind, let's just play Survivor instead. Because Survivor feels safe. If I make a mistake as a Survivor, someone else can pick me up. Someone else can carry the game. As a killer, everything is on me. And before anyone says it's only because I'm live, it isn't. This happens off stream too. I've loaded into killer lobbies with nobody watching, looked at the survivors, and felt the same knot in my stomach, and backed out even before the match even started. That's when I realized it wasn't stream anxiety, it was killer anxiety. Chapter 2, the match. Once the match starts, everything changes. As a Survivor main, I play DBD to have fun. Whether I'm streaming or playing off stream, I'm usually laughing, talking in chat, messing around with friends if we're playing together, or just enjoying myself. If I make a mistake, it doesn't feel like the end of the world. Maybe I get picked back up. Maybe someone flashlight saves me. Maybe I die. Who cares? I'll probably have another chase in a few minutes anyway. But Killer brings out a completely different side of me. One that I honestly wish didn't exist. I become competitive. Not because I want to, but because suddenly it's just me. There are no teammates, nobody to laugh with, nobody to cover for my mistakes, nobody else to blame. If I lose, it's because I lost. If I don't get a kill, my brain immediately starts listing every reason why. I missed that hit. I should have mind gamed that pallet. I forgot to check for a flashlight save. I didn't pressure generators enough. I forgot about my perk. I used my power wrong. Every mistake feels like another piece of evidence that maybe I'm just not good enough. And that's exhausting. People always tell me, just run Lightborn. But honestly, I don't want to. Not because it's a bad perk, but I just feel like if I paid more attention to my surroundings, I shouldn't need it. So instead of solving the problem, I convince myself the problem is me. And that's how my brain works with almost everything while I'm playing Killer. There's just so much to think about. Where are the survivors? Which generator is being worked on? Can I commit to this chase? Did someone bring a flashlight? Could there be a pallet save? Do I have a hex to protect? Did I remember what my perks actually do? Am I accidentally killing my obsession even though I'm running to save the best for last? Am I even using this killer correctly? Every single one of those thoughts is happening while I'm trying to chase somebody who's actively trying to outplay me. And then there's the killer itself. I stay away from killers like Lich or Dracula because their kits are so much more complicated. The more mechanics a killer has, the more anxious I become. More buttons, more abilities, more things to remember, more opportunities to mess something up. Some people pick up those killers immediately. I don't. I need time, I need repetition. I need to fail before I finally understand how a killer is supposed to feel. And that's okay. But in the moment, it doesn't feel okay. A good example is Ghoul. If you've watched my streams, you already know I joke about hating him. I kind of do though. For the longest time, I refused to play him. Eventually, I started adding Ghoul games as sub-goals and my punishment wheel reward because I knew I needed to branch out. The second time I ever played him, I was panicking. I couldn't figure out the bite, I wasn't grappling correctly, everything felt awkward. Meanwhile, the survivors were absolutely destroying me. Some people in chat were saying, Ghoul's easy, how are you struggling? And I know they weren't trying to be mean, but hearing that only made things worse. Because that's exactly what my anxiety was already telling me. He's top tier, this should be easy, so why can't you do it? The reality is, top tier doesn't automatically mean easy. Some people naturally understand movement and mechanics. I'm not one of those people. It takes me time, a lot of time. Another thing people ask me is if Swifts make me nervous. Honestly, yeah. Not because I think every Swift is toxic. I'm usually playing with 1 or 2 friends myself when I'm on Survivor. I understand why people play together. What makes me nervous is knowing some groups aren't trying to escape. They're trying to make the killer feel helpless. And I've went against them many times before. As a Survivor, I never want to be that person. I don't teabag killers, I don't spam my flashlight, I don't click at them because I know what it feels like to be on the receiving end of it. People also ask me why I don't tunnel or slug more often. And honestly, I know they're good strategies. Maybe I'd win more games if I did, but that's not really what I want. I want to learn the killer. I want good chases. I want to understand their mechanics. I want everyone to actually get to play the game. If I'm playing in a competitive environment, sure, that's different. But in public matches, I usually try to 2-hook everyone if I can, though I know that's not possible. Not because it's the strongest strategy, because it's the kind of games I enjoy playing. The only time I'll really tunnel someone is if they intentionally body block after being unhooked because they want to use DS. Outside of that, I'm trying to improve, not just win. Because for me, learning the killer is more rewarding than winning with strategies that don't really teach me anything. Unfortunately, when you already have killer anxiety, trying to improve while your brain is constantly telling you you're failing can be one of the hardest parts of the entire game. Chapter 3. The Endgame. Eventually, every match comes to an end. Sometimes I've had a great game. Sometimes I've managed to turn things around. But the games that stick with me are the ones where I know I didn't play well. Maybe I only got one kill. Maybe I didn't get any. The moment those exit gates are powered, I already know. I don't need anyone to tell me I had a bad game. I've already spent the last 15 minutes telling myself that. That's why it hurts so much when survivors stand at the exit gate teabagging, clicking their flashlight, or waiting until the very last second to leave. It's not because I'm upset they won. It's because in that moment, it feels like they're twisting the knife. They aren't showing me something I don't already know. I already know I messed up. I already know I could have played better. Most of the time, I don't even walk over to the gate anymore. I just turn around and let them leave. But another part of killer anxiety that I don't think gets talked about enough is that I can't leave. If the survivors decide they want to sit in the exit gate until the very last second, I'm just stuck there waiting for the timer, waiting for the game to finally end, waiting so I can move on. Sometimes it honestly feels like you're being forced to sit through your own loss long after you've already accepted it. Then comes the part I usually avoid completely, the endgame chat. Honestly, half the time, I don't even stay. Not because I don't like talking to people, I just don't want to see the replies after a bad game. Most people are genuinely nice. Some people even stop by my stream just to say GG. I love those interactions, I really do. But because I have my Twitch charm equipped and my profile shows that I stream, sometimes people decide to bring the match into what I consider my safe space. They'll come into my chat to tell me how bad I am, or they'll leave a comment on my Steam profile. My mods and I ban them, and we move on. At least, that's what it looks like from the outside. The truth is, I don't really move on. On stream, I'll smile, I'll queue another game, and act like everything's okay. But inside, I'm replaying every mistake, every missed hit, every chase that lasted too long, every bad decision. I'm beating myself up the entire time. The match ended, but my brain keeps playing it. That's also why I bounce between killers so much. I'll finally start feeling comfortable on someone. Maybe I'll have several good games in a row, but then I have one really bad match and suddenly my confidence disappears. I convince myself that maybe I'm just not good enough on that killer, so I switch. Then the exact same thing happens again. Eventually, I run out of killers I feel comfortable playing, and I go right back to Survivor, because Survivor feels safe. I don't want that to be the case. I genuinely want to enjoy killer more. I want to learn new killers. I want to become confident enough that clicking ready doesn't feel like the hardest part of the game. As for the game itself, I do think there are a couple of things that could help players like me. I'm not saying these things would magically fix killer anxiety, but I think they'd make the role feel a little less overwhelming. As SpookyLoopz mentioned, one idea would be giving killers a small base kit perk similar to what survivors have received over the years. Survivors have base kit borrowed time and other quality of life mechanics that help them regardless of their perk loadout. Something like a weaker base kit corrupt intervention or an even weaker version of barbecue and chili could help reduce some of that overwhelming early game pressure without forcing every killer to dedicate one of their perk slots to it. Another thing I'd like to see is an option to abandon a match once every generator has been completed. Not during the middle of the game and not when there's still a chance to come back, because I've absolutely come back from games where I only had 1 or 2 hooks with 2 generators left. Those games are still winnable. But when the gates are powered, the match is effectively over, and the survivors decide to stay until the timer expires, I'd love the option to simply go next instead of waiting around. I think something like that would make rough games much easier to mentally recover from. Before I end this video, I also want to say something to my community. I'm sorry for putting killer off so often. I know there have been so many times where I've said, I owe you guys killer, then I play another survivor game instead. Hopefully now, you understand why. It was never because I didn't want to. It was because my own anxiety convinced me not to. I know I probably build it into something much bigger than it really is, but that's anxiety. You know, your thoughts aren't always rational, but they still feel real. I also want to genuinely thank all of you. Over the last several months, you've been so much more supportive whenever I do play killer. Instead of pointing out every mistake, you celebrate the good plays. You'll tell me, nice hit, good chase, that mind game was clean. You congratulate me on downs and kills instead of focusing on what I did wrong. And I don't think you realize how much that helps. Those little comments make me want to queue again. They make the anxiety just a little quieter. So thank you. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep learning new killers. I'm going to keep putting killer on stream because I really do want to enjoy this role more. And if you've watched this whole video, whether you've experienced killer anxiety yourself, or maybe you just wanted to understand what it feels like, I hope hearing my experience helped you in some way. And if SpookyLoopz ends up seeing this, thank you for making your video. I've been talking about killer anxiety quite recently on stream, but I wouldn't have gone into full detail without the video. Thank you all so much for watching.